Every time you open up an app, it's like somebody online is telling you that you need to be doing what you're doing differently. The only way to succeed is a personal brand. A personal brand is dead. You should be using AI or you'll be wiped out tomorrow. You shouldn't be using AI because AI slop. And with this type of daily racket, how on earth are you supposed to feel confident about what you're doing? You're merrily cracking on with building your business, and then all of a sudden, you're questioning everything that you're doing. Because there always seems to be someone telling you that there's a better way, a better platform, better strategy, better ways to grow. And after enough of this, you can really start thinking to yourself, am I even doing the right thing anymore? And if you don't understand what's really going on here when that's happening, you can end up spending years busting your ass without really building any proper momentum. This came up in a conversation I was having last week. Someone told me that they feel like they're making progress, but when they watch another video online, or they listen to another expert, or they read something else online, they end up feeling like they should be doing something completely different. And just when they feel like they're getting things done, they're ticking things off of the list, it's like all of a sudden their plate fills up with all this other stuff. Honestly, I can think back to loads of occasions where I felt like this, and it made me think it's almost like sitting in a room with 20 friends, and every single one of them is telling you very passionately that they think you should be doing something else or going in a different direction. Eventually, you would probably leave that room, right? But we willingly walk back into that room every single day when we go online. So we're getting bombarded with all this different information. And I think it's because it's really common to think that a lack of knowledge is always going to be the thing that's holding us back. That if we just learn this one more thing, we're going to feel really sure and certain and geared up to go in the direction that we're going in. But I think the bigger challenge of today is deciding what you're going to ignore. Because like we said, every time you pick up your phone, there's somebody else very passionately telling you that you should be doing what you're doing in a different way, because their way is the best way. And they always sound really, really convincing, right? And you start thinking to yourself, oh man, like maybe I should be doing this other thing. Like maybe the way that I'm doing it is old. Maybe I'm not going to make money like this. So your life ends up looking something like this. You might start posting on a social media platform. And then somebody tells you, oh, YouTube is a sleeping giant. That's where all the money is. That's how you're going to get to £10,000 a month. And then you see a video of someone telling you that email marketing is the way. And that's where the real money is. And somebody else is talking about AI. And what ends up happening is that you stop questioning if what they're saying is actually good advice or not for your situation. And instead you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. Have you ever noticed how every new piece of information or advice that you get from online or wherever starts making you feel a lot less sure and a lot less certain? Whatever the thing is, yesterday you were feeling excited by it, and then now you're questioning the entire game plan. But I want to be clear about something. I don't think it's the advice that is actually the problem here. The advice itself isn't the thing taking away your progress. It's the doubt that ends up staying behind as a residue. Imagine you've been posting content, consistently for months, and you're finally getting the swing of it. And then there's a new piece of information and somebody says, organic content is dead. Now you start doubting yourself. And where you felt like you were getting progress, now you're looking back at that and thinking, man, like I wasted a lot of time. Was this a mistake? And if you're in this period of still building, this can happen over and over again, because every different strategy, every new strategy starts looking very appealing to you when you're frustrated with what you're currently doing. And the internet has made it easier than ever to learn new things, but I think has made it harder than ever to trust your own judgment, because we can assume that having more information will make us feel more confident and certain. But sometimes I think it does the complete opposite of that. And that's where these cracks begin to appear. The doubt that begins festering isn't just in your mind, it now starts influencing and dictating your behavior and what actions you take. So I'll show you what I mean with that. This wonderful internet, it gives you access to thousands of opinions every single week, every single day. But there's a lack of being able to have the confidence in understanding who you should listen to. And then because you've got all these different conflicting pieces of information and videos and advice, doubt starts stacking up, and the effects go beyond just being in your mind. They affect your actual behavior. So what happens is when this doubt starts building up, your commitment to the path that you were on starts to fade, which then makes it difficult to give it your full effort anymore. Because commitment isn't about deciding you're going to do something and just deciding it once. By nature, commitment is about deciding on that thing over and over again, despite constantly being presented with all these different alternatives. And honestly, I don't think we've ever had as many alternatives competing for our attention as we do in this day and age. Every video, every post presents you with this new option, making a completely different approach to what you're currently doing appear to be the obvious next step for you. And then your hesitation starts creeping in, which then changes your actions. So you end up pivoting, you end up tweaking what you're doing, you end up even scrapping things. You end up restarting in some way, shape, or form. And you've got to be careful because all of this, pivoting, restarting isn't necessarily happening because the thing that you are working on definitely isn't going to work. You've just lost confidence in staying on that path. I think the internet has made changing direction feel quite productive because when you're changing direction, when you're pivoting, when you're starting something new, you're actually still learning something else. You're taking action. You're still on the grind on the evenings and weekends. So upon appearance, it looks like progress. But what you've really done is something completely different. You've now reset the clock. So have you ever looked back to the previous few years and acknowledged that you've worked really hard, you've been real busy, you've been working, you've been on the grind, but somehow you just have not come as far as you hoped you would have? And I think this is one of the reasons. Progress only happens when you move in the same direction for long enough. Every time you change direction, you're creating this reset. And this reset can have far more negative repercussions than you might even realize at the time that you're doing it. Because when you make this switch and restart, you're missing out on one of the greatest gifts that can happen in a business. And that is the gift of compounding. Because almost everything that's valuable pays off at a later date. Trust, relationships, your reputation, word of mouth, they all pay out in a lagging fashion. And the thing is, compounding has one requirement. It asks of you just one thing, and that is that you stay on that one path. Because every time you walk away from something that you're doing or walk away from the way that you're doing something, you're actually not just stopping the progress that you've made, you're interrupting the progress that would have happened next. Imagine planting a seed, looking after it, watering it for months, but then you dig it up when someone tells you that there's another seed that might grow even faster than this one. So you plant that seed instead. But then a few months later, somebody recommends something else. And eventually your garden is just full of all these holes and nothing has had enough time to actually grow. So it's not that you're necessarily planting the wrong seed. It's that you've never given anything a chance to grow into a tree. This makes me think about shiny object syndrome. We say that entrepreneurs are addicted to new ideas, but I don't think that's actually what's going down. I think that there's this element of trying to escape uncertainty. Think about it, when you've been working on something for months and it's not producing what you hoped it would, there's a certain level of uncertainty that starts creeping in. You start questioning, is this actually going to work? Am I doing the right thing? And when those questions shake your foundation enough, trying a new strategy or starting a new business can actually feel like this sense of relief, because this new thing gives you something that what you're currently doing doesn't. And that's a level of hope and certainty. At least for a little while anyway, it feels fresh, it feels exciting. To you, it feels full of possibility until a few months later when that same kind of uncertainty creeps back in again and the cycle starts all over again. Have you noticed how every new strategy feels exciting right up until the moment when it starts feeling uncertain as well? I mean, it's inevitable that you're going to question the path that you're on, even if it's just for a moment. So I don't think the solution is to find a path that you're never going to question, because I don't actually think that that's going to happen. But I do think that you need to become the person that continues to walk that path, even when they're questioning it. And the thing about certainty is that it rarely comes first. It actually comes afterwards, after you've stayed long enough in the game to gather enough evidence that you're on the right path. So next time you feel tempted to change everything, Ask yourself, am I changing everything because this genuinely isn't working? Or is it because I feel quite uncomfortable in not knowing where this is going? So I think you've got to keep learning, you've got to stay curious and listen to the people who have gone before you and have the things that you want. But don't allow every single opinion to convince you to jump ship on what you're working on. The breakthrough that you're hoping for might not be, on the other side of this new strategy or this new business. What if it's just 6 months further down the road on what you're already working on?